Hi, Paul here. Today we are going to replace the radiator in a 2001 Dodge Durango. I have a lot more tools than what are probably needed, but just to kind of give you an idea, the primary things I'd recommend is these ratchet wrenches if you have any. Okay, when you're done with the job, naturally you're going to need some coolant, and on this vehicle is ATF 4 Plus transmission fluid, because we're going to be removing those transmission cooler lines that go into the radiator right here. Okay, and we're going to lose a little transmission fluid when we do that, so we're going to need to replace that. That's important to remember that. Primarily the size of bolts you're going to need wrenches for are 10 millimeter, 13 millimeter, and 16 millimeter. First of all, we have approximately 8 bolts on the top bar that we're going to need to remove. This being the top bar right here, this assembly, okay? And those are 13 millimeter. There's one here, 2 on the back side here, okay? These 2 here, right in front of the coolant and washer reservoir tank. And then you've got one here again and 2 more back here. In addition, there are some 10 millimeter bolts that are going to need to be removed, this being one of them. Here's the other. And then we're going to need to just pop these covers off here to get to a couple others. And particularly down here on the AC condenser. I don't know if you can see this in the video or not. It's way down here. Okay, there's a bolt here and another one down on the other side. And they'll need to come out. And then this AC condenser coil, you can see how it slides into the bracket here. You're just going to gently slide it up and pull it gently forward, just kind of out of your way. Alright. So I'm going to pause the video here, and we're going to remove all of those. Okay. What's proven to be a real pain in the butt are the 2, they're way down here. Going to come in kind of down through the bottom of the grill there, and I don't know if you can see where my finger is there, but back in here, okay, it's one, and then there's another one back in this corner. Little 10 millimeter bolts that need to come out. In order to get in there, you're going to need a 1/4 inch ratchet with a 10 millimeter socket. Just does fit in there. Pretty tight, but I got them out, but that proved to be quite the hassle. Now what will happen is you'll see here this will separate. Okay, so we're able to pull the AC condenser loose from the radiator. You want to be careful that you don't mess with the hoses up here and such, the lines. You just want to get it loosened in front like I just did there, okay, so that the radiator itself can pull out of there. Alright, now the next thing is I'm going to remove this radiator clamp on the top of the radiator, or what they would call the top. It's the right hand side. And then we're going to go under the vehicle, get it up under the vehicle, and there's the lower radiator hose. Remove that clamp there. Alright, that'll be your next step. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, folks. This was a pain in the ass. Okay, getting the lower shroud separated from the radiator so that I could pull it out of there was probably the biggest pain in the butt. You have to come up through the bottom to get to these bolts. And if you can see where I'm sticking here, okay, on the lower shroud. I'm going to take you over now. Oh, also, you've got to take loose, of course, all the sensors and the two hoses from the bottom, from the reservoir here, from this reservoir, okay? That's pretty simple. Each sensor is a little different, so they'll only fit back where they belong. I'm going to walk over here to the old radiator. There's the fan. Okay, came off of there. I had to get the fan loose. The wires on mine, these wires, they were running up. I don't know if you can see my hand down in here. They were running up through this hole here, and this shroud was up against it like that, where I couldn't get the sensor out, so I had to loosen the shroud up just to get the, not the sensor, but the wires to the fan. Okay, and of course we had to loosen the two tubes that go to the coolant for the transmission. Okay, going over here to the old radiator, some things. Here's the old radiator. All right, try to get my shadow off of it, and then there's the new one next to it. Some things that you're going to need to do when you switch this out is all these, I don't know what you call them, but all these nuts that fit in there. There's one down there, one up here. Looks like 1 and 2. Okay, so those are going to have to come off and go on to the new radiator. And then, and also of course these bushings, these mounting bushings here are going to have to come off your old radiator and go on to the new one.